Hey everyone, and welcome. We're going to talk about something that can feel like a huge, tangled mess, digital marketing. But don't you worry. Today, we're going to unfold a really clear, simple roadmap that'll guide you through it all. We're going to turn that complexity into a super straightforward path to success.
So, does the world of SEO, social media, content strategy, does it all just feel completely overwhelming sometimes? You see all these different paths you could take, but you have no clear idea of where to even begin. If that sounds like you, trust me, you are not alone. It's a feeling pretty much everyone has when they first dive into this world.
But that's exactly what we're here to do today. We're going to hand you a simple but really powerful framework. Think of it like a map that's going to guide you from feeling totally lost to feeling completely in control of your strategy.
Okay, so let's get right into our map. We call it the 5 C's of digital strategy. Just think of these as the 5 essential landmarks on your journey. It all starts with your core company's strategy, then moves to defining the customer experience, then you get to actually creating content, promoting it through the right channels, and finally, and this is key, checking back with analysis to make sure it all actually worked.
So for our trip today, we're going to break it down into 3 main parts. First up, building your foundation. Then we'll get into creating your connection with your audience. And finally, we'll talk about the super important step of measuring what matters so you know all your hard work is actually paying off.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, building your foundation. See, before you can even think about ads or social media posts, you have to be absolutely crystal clear on 2 things: who your company is and who you're trying to serve. If you get this wrong, everything else you do is just going to be built on shaky ground.
And a really crucial first step here is understanding the difference between your business model and your brand. Your business model? That's all internal. It's the nuts and bolts of how you make money. Your brand, on the other hand, is completely external. It's the story, the feeling, what you stand for in the minds of your customers. One is about profit, the other is all about perception.
And this table here really breaks it down perfectly. Your business model is asking, how do we make money? It's all focused on operations and costs. But your brand asks a totally different question. What do we mean to our customers? And that's driven by things like emotion and trust. So a good business model gets you profitability. But you know what a strong brand gets you? Loyalty. And in the long run, that is so much more valuable.
So how do you really pin down your brand's purpose? Well, a great place to start is by crafting a mission statement with this super simple 3-part recipe. First, you've got to name whom you serve and get specific. Second, define the solution you're offering them. What's your big promise? And third, describe the outcome. How are you actually making their lives better?
Let's look at a killer real-world example. IKEA just nails all 3 parts. Who do they serve? The many people. Simple enough. What's their solution? Well-designed, functional home products at low prices. And what's the outcome for the customer? To create a better everyday life. See how clear that is? It's concise, and you just know it guides every single thing they do.
Okay, let's keep moving. On to part 2. Now that your foundation is solid, it's time to actually create that connection. This is where the action is. It's where you take your brand's mission and use content and channels to grab your audience's attention and hopefully not let go. But here's the massive challenge we're all up against. The average human attention span has now dropped to just 8.25 seconds. Seriously, that's less than a goldfish. In today's digital world, you have this incredibly tiny window to make any kind of impression.
So how in the world do you win in an 8-second world? Well, the answer is micro-content. We're talking about things like mini graphics, short lists, quick how-tos, or little tips and tricks. This stuff works because it respects the audience's time. It gives them a quick win, a little moment of discovery, or a useful tidbit that delivers instant value. It's perfectly designed for a world of endless scrolling.
Now, as you're creating all this great content, it's really important to remember that not all campaigns have the same goal. They usually fall into one of 3 buckets. You've got acquisition campaigns, which are all about finding new people. Then there are monetization campaigns, focused on getting more revenue from people you already have. And finally, engagement campaigns, which are all about turning customers into loyal fans who rave about your brand.
And this right here shows you the kind of path you can build to turn a total stranger into a customer. You can start with what we call ungated offers. Think blog posts or videos. It's pure value with 0 commitment needed from them. Then you might move to gated offers. This is a value swap. They give you their email and you give them something more in depth, like an ebook. And finally, you have
deep discount offers, which create a super low-risk way for someone to become a paying customer for the very first time.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most important section, Part 3, Measuring What Matters. Look, you can build the most amazing foundation and create the best content in the world, but if you're not measuring your results, you're basically just flying blind. Data is the compass that tells you if you're actually heading in the right direction.
And to use that compass, you need what are called KPIs, or Key Performance Indicators. Put simply, a KPI is just a number you track to see if you're hitting your goals. It's not just any old metric, it's a key metric that's tied directly to what you're trying to achieve as a business. Without them, you're just guessing.
And the most important thing is to match your KPIs to your goals. This table makes it really practical. So if your goal is brand awareness, you're going to track things like social media shares. If you need to generate leads, you're measuring things like form completions. Want more engagement? You're looking at comments and how long people stay on your site. See, every goal has its own unique signs of success.
And especially in the B2B world, that's business to business, there's been this really critical shift in how we measure things. The old way was all about lead-based metrics, just counting up individuals. The new, much smarter way is about account-level metrics. It stops asking, how many leads did we get? And starts asking, how did we influence the entire company's journey to becoming a customer? This gets everyone on the same page, focused on the real goal, revenue.
And why is this shift so incredibly important? Well, check this out. Forrester found that in B2B marketing, less than 1% of leads ever actually become customers. Let that sink in. Less than 1%. That stat just screams that chasing a high number of leads is a total waste of time. It's the quality and the engagement of the entire account that truly, truly matters.
And this brings us to a quote that I think just perfectly sums up the heart of a good modern marketing strategy. When you target everyone, you don't connect with anyone. It's so true. Whether you're defining your mission, creating content, or measuring results, being specific and focused are your absolute greatest assets.
So as we wrap things up here, I want to leave you with this one final thought. Based on everything we've just talked about, from getting new customers, to making money, to creating fans, what is the single most important campaign your business needs to focus on right now to take that next big step? Give that some thought and let that be the very first destination you plug into your new marketing map. Thanks so much for joining us.